Today, a small town of just 13,000 people in my home state of Minnesota is seeing relief as COVID vaccines became available for the first time for healthcare workers. Worthington, Minnesota, about 3 hours south of Minneapolis, is the vaccine hub for Southwest Minnesota and its rural healthcare facilities, making the transfer process a very delicate one. NBC's Dasha joins us now from the Sanford Worthington Medical Center, where these vaccines will be soon administered. Dasha, this town of just 13,000 is the hub for the entire region. We know this vaccine must be kept ultra cold in these freezers. How are they handling that to make sure doses get from Worthington beyond?
Joe, I am so happy to be in your home state on this momentous day. There's so much excitement in this medical center right now because just a couple of hours ago, they got this box delivered, a shipment of 975 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. You can see this little tracker here. This is from Pfizer. It can tell Pfizer when it was delivered, kind of let them track it through the whole process. It also shows them the temperature control to ensure that it's been at the right temperature through that entire process of shipping it and getting it to this facility. But this box right now, it is empty except for some dry ice because they have already put the vaccines into this ultra cold freezer. That is one of the reasons this is a hub here, because as we know, not all rural facilities are able to have that technology. And you might wonder, why Worthington, Minnesota? Why is this small town of 13,000 getting this? This is actually their second shipment. They already got one earlier in the week. They're getting this second shipment because they are redistributing the vaccine. And I've been watching all day as pharmacists have been packing up these boxes. And under the pressure of time, by the way, Joe, 5 minutes, that is the amount of time that they have to get those doses, those vials out of the freezer and into these coolers that are filled with ice packs. And then they have folks from these rural facilities come and pick these up. They'll soon be delivering them to the facilities via couriers, but they wanted to get their hands on them as quickly as possible. So, Joe, this morning, there were people coming from 100 to 200 miles away and from communities that are 2,000 people, 1,000 people, even 700 people, these small towns, but that have healthcare facilities with healthcare workers that are on those front lines in these hard-hit places that need to get vaccinated. So we actually watched as the very first courier from one of these rural clinics came and picked up this box. I watched that happen with the woman who was actually in charge of coordinating this whole effort, the director of pharmacy at Sanford Health. And we both got a little bit emotional seeing that first box go into the car and be taking those hundreds of miles to get those folks vaccinated, Joe.
Dasha, it feels like it's a sigh of relief for another community that really needs this, just like every other part of the country. We also know it's 42% Hispanic, and that's a community that's been hit disproportionately hard by this pandemic. What are people saying about the vaccine's arrival? Is there any hesitancy from some folks in Worthington about taking the vaccine, as we've seen in other parts of the country?
Yeah, Worthington was one of the harder hit places, especially earlier on in the pandemic when there was an outbreak at a meat packing plant here. This is also an area where there are a lot of multi-generational households, adding to those concerns about spread. So hard hit area, hard hit Latino community here. And I want to introduce you to someone I met earlier today. Her name is Patty Velasquez. She's a Latina pharmacy technician here. She works here. She's preparing to get vaccinated herself. But she also has a pretty personal story. Her family was impacted by COVID-19, and that's made her even more passionate about getting the message out in the community to build trust around this vaccine so people are comfortable getting it. Take a listen to her story.
Both of my parents worked at the plant in town that was hit with the COVID, and both of them actually had COVID. My dad did very well. My mom was quite sick. I'm not just getting the vaccine for myself or to protect myself, but I'm also getting it to protect my husband and my children and my parents and my neighbor. You know, you don't just get the vaccine for yourself, you get it to protect others too. And I'm hoping that they will go back to work and that they will tell my experience and my story, and that their friends will tell their friends and their family. So hopefully that will alleviate some of the, the nervousness about the vaccine.
Patty is getting vaccinated on Monday. And Joe, you better bet as soon as she gets that shot in the arm, she's going to be telling her family, her friends, her neighbors, everyone she knows about how the process went, how she feels about getting vaccinated, and encouraging them to get vaccinated themselves when it's available. Joe?
Dasha, we are cheering for Patty and cheering for her family in this exceedingly difficult time. Thank you so much for that live report.
Thanks, Joe.